Tonight, here in Paris, you can feel the excitement building just 3 days before the games begin.
I'm going to say the Canadian House probably is the best.
The athletes are here settling in alongside a major Canadian superstar. Will Céline Dion make her comeback here at the opening ceremony? And a Paris landmark preparing for a comeback of its own.
You see, the top, it's all new. All new.
Okay. We take you inside the Notre-Dame cathedral, now in its final stages of restoration.
Here in Canada, Alberta's Jasper National Park is on fire. At the height of summer, thousands suddenly told to evacuate in the dark with only one road out.
You're just getting hit with ash in your face, on your arm, ash that was still on fire.
The worry for hikers still in the backcountry. Kamala Harris rallies Democrats.
We have an election to win!
Can she turn enthusiasm into votes?
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson and Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault in Paris.
Thank you for joining us. With the Olympic opening ceremony just 3 days away, there's a lot of excitement in the city and speculation over a potential Canadian headliner. We'll have that in a few minutes. But first, let's get right to Erica in Vancouver with major Canadian news.
Thanks, Adrian. Wildfires are raging out of control tonight in Alberta's Jasper National Park. The flames, fueled by high winds, picked up last night, forcing mass evacuation of residents, campers, and other tourists. About 25,000 people drove for hours through darkness in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the only highway out. Jasper is one of the most popular national parks in the country and the biggest in the Canadian Rockies. The most concerning fire that's threatening the town is only 12 kilometers away. The long race to safety has left evacuees exhausted and rattled. Georgie Smythe shows us what they went through and the fears for those who may still be in the park.
I think we should just leave.
Jasper's famed forests in flames. Even as people fled, fire burned to the edges of their exit.
Look at this lineup. The only place to go apparently is west.
Late Monday night, an evacuation alert suddenly became an order to leave. The park packed with summer vacationers. As many as 25,000 residents and visitors were forced to drive through the night on a single highway through soot and darkness to safety.
Everybody waited hours and hours and hours, and it was horrible. It was awful for everybody involved.
I just got smoke here and smoke here. And the highway was just pretty busy, like just a long row of tail lights and a long row of lights behind us in the rearview mirror.
Wherever evacuees ended up, many spent the night sleeping in cars. Those that went west into BC are being asked to go back to Alberta. As the fire burns out of control, there are fears people are still hiking and camping in the area, unaware of the fire emergency.
If you have a way of contacting those in the backcountry, they should travel to reach a trailhead.
And within the town site, the RCMP spent the day convincing about 40 people to leave.
So there are still some residents that are in there. Police are actively going house to house, to apartments, speaking with these people and encouraging them to leave.
Alberta working closely with Parks Canada.
We told them that we were prepared to help in whichever way they need us to, and they're taking us up on that offer.
Winds and scorching temperatures are making for erratic fire behaviour.
Look at this.
And it could get even worse. Late in the day, the RCMP guided media through the park until it got too dangerous.
So yeah, it's a very volatile and evolving situation.
Another fire east of the town was growing too fast. The job of protecting the people and the park not over yet. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Part of what has made the evacuation so challenging, the limited options to get out of Jasper. One of the main routes, Highway 93, the Icefields Parkway, was blocked by the fire, cutting off the path to Banff or Calgary. In the other direction, another out-of-control wildfire along the route to Edmonton. That left just one viable option, Highway 16, heading west into British Columbia. Liam Britton is in Kamloops, BC tonight for a closer look at that difficult journey out of Jasper and the uncertainty so many have faced even after getting to safety.
As night hit in Jasper, it was clear something was wrong.
You're just getting hit with ash in your face, on your arm, ash that was still on fire.
Returning from a hike on a trip with his mom, dad, and brother, Isaac Neustadt said their holiday took a sudden turn as the out-of-control wildfire approached, forcing them to flee in a matter of minutes.
We kind of realized that the road to Kamloops was our only hope. We couldn't go anywhere else.
Kamloops, one of the main destinations for evacuees, most forced to take the only safe highway out of town. Parks Canada says the majority were tourists visiting Jasper at the height of the season, now left in limbo.
Seeing everybody that's coming, they're crying, they're upset.
The tiny village of Valemont, BC also took people in, but the community hall reached capacity within hours, so locals stepped up, including the operators of an RV lot, saying they opened their property to more than 500 people.
They're in a situation right now that none of us in Canada can understand unless you are going through it. So we're just trying to ease a little bit of their pain.
BC is dealing with a raging wildfire season of its own. Officials telling out-of-province evacuees they can't stay here. Albertans were advised to drive a circuit of BC highways and make their way to Calgary or Grand Prairie. Still, the risk of more fires and more evacuations looms large. Some forced to flee, seeing the best of a dire situation.
By the time they actually issued the order, it was just sort of chaos. But I mean, they were doing the best they could, and they got everybody out.
So, Liam, a huge wave of people crossed into BC, but most didn't seem to stay long.
That's right, Erica. For a lot of folks, it was just gas up the car, get off to Calgary, at least from here in Kamloops. The real activity here at the Kamloops airport is behind me with these firefighting crews attacking the flames. For most of the people we met, it's just about carrying on their vacation. The Neustadt family, for instance, they're off to Banff to carry on the rest of their holiday. So I would say not a bad second option, Erica.
All right, thanks for this update, Liam. Liam Britton in Kamloops for us tonight. The hot, dry temperatures fueling wildfires here in Canada are breaking records. Global climate watchers say Sunday was the hottest day ever.
As the climate keeps warming as a consequence of the increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, we are bound to see new record being broken in the next few months, in the next few years.
An EU climate group says the global average on Sunday reached 17.09 degrees. That is slightly higher than the previous record set last July. Residents of Sonikiloaq, Nunavut are back in their homes tonight after a gasoline spill forced an evacuation. The territory says a fuel tank was overfilled, causing 5,000 liters of gasoline to leak on Monday. Up to 1,000 people were forced to leave their homes. An investigation into the spill is now underway. To the U.S. now, Kamala Harris hit the campaign trail today, describing November's election as a choice between freedom and chaos. The vice president appearing at a rally in the battleground state of Wisconsin, her first public event since becoming the de facto Democratic presidential nominee. And as Paul Hunter shows us, the enthusiasm was palpable.
In her first public event since Joe Biden ended his bid for re-election, it wasn't so much a cheer as a roar for Kamala Harris, loud and sustained. From Harris in return, some news.
So, Wisconsin, I am told as of this morning that we have earned the support of enough delegates to secure the Democratic nomination.
It's been that kind of week for her. On top of the light-speed gathering of delegates, the now presumptive Democratic nominee has had more than $100 million in donations in just 2 days, plus 30,000 new campaign volunteers and more big-time endorsements from senior Democrats.
We are brimming with excitement, enthusiasm, unity.
It's a stunning turnaround for a party that had seemed effectively energyless until Biden stepped aside. At that rally in the key state of Wisconsin, Harris again highlighted her background as a prosecutor makes her well suited to take on Donald Trump. a convicted felon. She urged those in the room to now work to that end.
We have doors to knock on, we have phone calls to make, we have voters to register, and we have an election to win.
This as her campaign seeks to grow the enthusiasm. Embracing popular online memes and videos such as this, for example, on so-called brat life.
I'm just living that life.
While singer Beyonce has signed off on the Harris team using this song throughout her run for the White House. By contrast, on social media, Donald Trump called his new opponent Lion Kamala Harris, signaling the battle to come is certain to be an ugly one.
So the race for the White House is taking shape, but for now it still belongs to Joe Biden. Paul, what is the president up to?
Yeah, well, what a week for him as well, Erica, but in a different kind of way, of course. Joe Biden is in the White House tonight, having now recovered from COVID, and is prepping for an official visit by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that begins tomorrow. Equally significant for Biden is a primetime TV address tomorrow night from the Oval Office to further explain his decision to end his bid for re-election, a move that's turned his party and the election itself on its ear.
Thank you, Paul. Paul Hunter in Washington. The director of the U.S. Secret Service has stepped down.
The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed.
Kimberly Cheadle's resignation follows intense scrutiny following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. Cheadle testified before Congress yesterday, calling it the agency's most serious operational failure in decades. Now it's over to Adrian in Paris with just 3 days now until the start of the Olympics.
Thanks, Erica. Massive crowds are expected here for the first post-pandemic games, but a reminder tonight that COVID could still cause some trouble.
We're testing and monitoring close contacts, being her roommate, and we're also having the fellow teammates wear masks and just adhere to social distancing measures as well.
Australia became the first team in Paris to announce a positive case. 2 of their water polo players are now reported to have the virus. The World Health Organization says France has seen a recent uptick in cases. It is urging people at the Games to be responsible. This isn't dampening excitement, though, among athletes, some eager to turn the page on the last Games with no family, friends, or fans. Teams are once again able to gather together. Well, today I got access to the tightly controlled athletes' village where the Canadians are already soaking it all in.
Some things about an Olympics thankfully rarely change. Athletes will find the rings and they'll crawl all over them. Wouldn't you if you'd worked your life for this? That's Canada's gold medal swimming phenom Maggie McNeil, by the way, bringing Canadians along on social media. Her face on a coffee, the famous cardboard beds, baguettes, of course.
So this is me eating one here with some raspberry jam. It was amazing.
It's not hard to find Canadians in the village. The red uniforms help, and so does the enthusiasm of someone like the extraordinary gymnast Felix Dulce.
You know, everything that has been put together for us athletes, I think, you know, we really enjoy it and we do very appreciate the work, and especially, I'm going to say the Canadian House probably is the best. So
Come on, how come?
Snacks. It's the best snacks in the game. Am I mistaken here?
Now I know I'm with my people.
The praise for Canada's home warrants a closer look. And he's not wrong. That's a rooftop lounge. Clearly, some rooms have air conditioning where there wasn't any before, and the iconic moose is back.
I do actually.
And inside, on staff, caring for the athletes and that snack table, gold medalist trampoline gymnast Rosie McLennan. She calls herself the team's big sister.
Like having your family and friends in the city again, whether it's being able to lean on them before competition or have them there as a support mechanism or to celebrate with you after, is quite unique.
Togetherness in the post-COVID emergency days is what stands out for everyone, including the athletes who definitely stand out, Canada's giants of volleyball.
There's also going to be a good amount of spectator and like kind of social involvement, just because I think a lot of people really look forward to the Summer Olympic Games.
Sometimes the Athletes' Village is a place where you can be introduced to technology you may have never seen before. That's probably what we're talking about right here. There are 7 of these giant structures that look like fans, in part because they are fans. This village is very close to a highway, lots of pollution, so the thinking is the fans pull in the polluted air, filter it, and then redistribute fresh air.
It's an experiment, a type of pilot project. If there's any sense they will make any difference, even a little one, they might pop up elsewhere in Paris. Look carefully. You'll see this is a place wired, surveilled, and constantly monitoring the climate. There are dining halls and spots to linger on the Seine made of old parachutes. Paris seemingly trying to think of everything for young athletes about to give everything.
With the opening ceremony fast approaching, the big thing everyone is buzzing about here in Paris tonight, one of the potential performers.
Well, I'll sing again. I'll sing again. That's for sure.
So that's what Céline Dion told me last month in our Canadian exclusive interview, and now there's a good chance we know where she might sing next.
Céline, Céline, Céline.
Spotted on the streets of Paris today and flocked by fans and media, Dion fueling speculation that she will perform at Friday's opening ceremony. Even the newspapers here are getting in on the chatter. Organizers, of course, are keeping a tight lid on their plans, but if it happens, this would be Céline Dion's first performance since sharing her diagnosis with stiff person syndrome in 2022. And she's been on the Olympic stage before.
It's the moment that you think you can't, you'll discover that you can. Feel
That is Dion in 1996 singing The Power of the Dream at the opening ceremony in Atlanta. Whoever performs Friday night will be there for you live. I'll be co-hosting our coverage with Scott Russell on CBC and GEM. And throughout the games, CBC will be your home for Paris 2024. We will have all the major events across our platforms. As Paris prepares for these games, there has been excitement for sure, but also a big toll on the people who live here.
All those people that are deemed undesirable in the public space have been swept away.
Criticism about how the city's most vulnerable have been treated. Next. Plus, in the backdrop of the Olympics, one of the world's great cathedrals rises again, 5 years after a devastating fire.
We're going roughly 55 meters up above Paris.
Rare access to Notre-Dame and a monumental restoration.
Plus, new recommendations from the Canadian Medical Association. What it's saying about the future of healthcare in this country.
What are our guardrails? How do we ensure patients are getting the quality that they need?
The debate over public and private care. We're back in 2.
Paris is full of spectacular sights, but this celestial moment is something else. The moon played a little pinball last night, lining up perfectly with the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower. Now, making Paris competition and tourist ready has been years in the making, but as Salima Shivji shows us, the city's most vulnerable say those preparations have left some deep scars.
The eve of the games, as the excitement builds, so too the strain on this iconic city. Police line many of the grand boulevards of a Paris more clean and pristine.
I think it's very busy. There's something really exciting. It's way more clean right now, and we can also see a lot of policemen everywhere.
Everywhere along the Seine River, guarding new installations that pushed out tent camps where thousands of homeless immigrants lived. Until armed police rounded them up and bussed them out of the city with the promise of temporary housing. A social cleansing ahead of the Olympics, say those helping the migrants.
Basically, what we've seen is all those people that are deemed undesirable in the public space have been swept away.
From one of Paris's poorest areas that now houses key Olympic venues.
Even now, days after police cleared out the tent camps, these bricks remain, a concrete barrier to stop any of those immigrants without a home to go to from coming back here.
The French government denies the sweep is linked to the games. Games.
On n'est forcément pas d'accord parce que ce travail, on le fait à l'année, donc on l'a fait bien.
We do this all year, regardless of the Olympics. It's a humanitarian program, says this state official, for more stable housing. But those words mean little to Namawa Karamako. A year into her life in an unwelcoming France, she was carted away from her tent community to this shelter west of Paris. I don't know if it's the color of our skin, but it's not an easy life, she says. We're treated like the trash of France, simply thrown aside. She stays for her little boy, just a year old, but she's certain this room is temporary, meant to last while the Olympics occupy the world, with the city's undocumented migrants tucked away, far from the cameras.
So, Salima, this is, of course, not the first time, an Olympic host city has been under the spotlight for how it's been treating vulnerable people.
No, we saw it in Beijing in 2008 when more than 1 million people were evicted from their homes for new Olympic buildings. In Rio, too, authorities there bulldozed thousands of homes in favelas. And even in Vancouver, where police there actually were cracking down on jaywalking, on public urination in the downtown east side ahead of those games. So it's not new. But here in France, many social workers will tell you that they expected more from an Olympic bid that promised that these games would be inclusive and socially responsible.
All right, interesting. Really looking forward to your coverage all throughout the games. Salima Shifty.
Thank you.
Here in Canada, fallout to some developing news. The Canadian Olympic Committee is apologizing after Canada's women's soccer team was accused of spying on New Zealand's team with a drone. In a statement tonight, the COC says a non-accredited member of Canada's soccer support team was detained by police after allegedly using a drone to record a New Zealand practice. The COC says it's shocked and disappointed, and we offer our heartfelt apologies to New Zealand football. It says it's reviewing next steps with the IOC and FIFA. Now to the U.S. election and the big U-turn that has Kamala Harris in the spotlight and all over the internet.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Breaking down the viral memes and what her campaign hopes to gain from it. And a major medical association weighs in on the future of healthcare.
The family health team model has been beyond anything that I ever would have expected.
What it says about private versus public care. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world next. The Calgary Zoo has concluded that the death of a polar bear last week was caused by play fighting with another bear. A necropsy found that 7-year-old Baffin drowned following an injury to his trachea. Baffin was roughhousing in a pool with another polar bear when it happened. More Canadians need access not just to a family doctor, but an entire healthcare team. That's one of the recommendations from the Canadian Medical Association after a year-long survey of healthcare professionals. Megan Fitzpatrick shows us what that approach looks like.
At this clinic in Markham, Ontario, patients have access to a team of healthcare workers. Doctors, dietitians, social workers, and more, all paid for by the province's health plan.
Hello, hi, I'm here for my appointment.
Michael Hayes is grateful he got the mental health support he needed.
The benefits that I've derived from being part of the family health team model has been beyond anything that I ever would have expected.
Funding health teams is a key recommendation in a new report from the Canadian Medical Association about the mix of private and public health care.
If we are going to incorporate privately delivered services that are funded by the public system or funded privately, what are our guardrails? How do we ensure patients are getting the quality that they need?
Facing long wait times and backlogs, more provinces are outsourcing and hiring private companies to provide virtual health care. The CMA argues access to care should be based on need and not on the ability to pay, also recommending governments clamp down on membership fees at private clinics, cover costs in another province if wait times are too long, and give half of Canadians access to a health team within 5 years.
I hope more family physicians in this province have access to this opportunity, because I think not only is good for the
for the clinician provider, but it's really excellent for patients.
Dr. Danielle Martin says more teams would help the 6 million or so Canadians who have no family doctor.
The answer to getting primary care to every single Canadian in a timely way is teams.
The CMA says timely access to publicly funded primary care teams should be a building block for the future of Canada's healthcare system. It plans to release a final set of recommendations this fall. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Toronto.
We're here in Paris as the host city gets ready for its Olympic moment. Tonight we feature one of its landmark buildings as we dig deeper into the stories shaping our world.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Kamala Harris, queen of the memes, how mockery from her critics helps her campaign.
But it's actually a massive advantage to have something already in the culture about your candidate.
But first, in the heart of Paris, we get incredible access as Notre-Dame Cathedral rises from the ashes.
This monument has a soul.
That fire 5 years ago broke the hearts of many, but it could not destroy a work of faith that stood for centuries.
Wow.
So let's see the treasures that survived and how the old is being married to the new.
So it's just about a 30-second ride. We're going roughly 55 meters up above Paris.
Come along for a rare ride to a place the world's been shut out of for 5 years.
Wow.
Think of it as a delicate patient and this construction, the critical surgery to save the very life of Notre-Dame.
Do you remember where you were the day of the fire?
I was home, and my eldest son told me, Papa, Notre-Dame is burning. And I thought it was incredible.
And I found myself in this crowd, overwhelmed and moved. The emotion was very palpable. Everyone was serious. There were people praying, people crying. It was very, very moving.
It was heart-stopping. April 15th, 2019, around 6:20 at night. Either a cigarette or an electrical short sparked a blaze in the roof. To this day, no one's sure. As it roared through the medieval structure and workers raced to save precious art and relics, firefighters had to find a way to extinguish the fire without collapsing the entire structure. The spire couldn't be saved. The roof fell in. The heart of Paris pierced. Ever since, as the repairs continue, a vigil of sorts still happens. Parisians, tourists keeping watch, capturing whatever they can from down below. And the man who talked of watching the fire that first night, of grieving, Philip Jost, is now in charge of the billion-dollar rebuilding and restoration. A man who weaves between French and English, the ancient and the new.
Ce chantier a une âme, it has a soul. The monument, this monument has a soul. It's beautiful. It's un défi, a challenge. There is a challenge. Le bois a disparu dans l'incendie.
The wood disappeared in the fire. The stones that collapsed in the fire were too weakened by the heat to be reused.
Stones don't like fire. They become very fragile. Et donc, il fallait des pierres neuves.
So new stones were needed. We had to choose quarries where we could find the same stone, and then, for the frames, we went out and chose oaks from our forests.
We choose each oak in our forest.
That carefully chosen wood from more than 1,000 oak trees for rebuilding the roof. Some of the tools crafted to be identical to the ones used 800 years ago. Blacksmiths from Canada recruited for some of the delicate forging work. On the day we're granted access, the lead panels are going back on. The ancient in conjunction with the brand new and the delicate dance of the cranes.
Where possible, original parts of the cathedral have been saved, which is why you need to look up even higher.
What an astonishing place to be, and quite frankly, what an astonishing place for us to be standing. Wanted to bring you here because I want to show you something. This is La Croix de Chevet. So this amazing cross is actually the original from the Notre-Dame Cathedral built some 800 years ago. And when the fire happened, it wasn't entirely destroyed. Instead, what happened is it fell into the debris of the fire. So as they were digging through it, they found it, and they've now lovingly restored it.
It was put back on the 24th of May. And it was a very beautiful moment for the church, but also for us, for the public establishment, to see the symbol of the cathedral come back.
That's Pauline de Montgolfier, part of the administration staff, but someone with a special connection here for all eternity.
And so that is the spire that fell down,
yes,
and has been rebuilt.
It's the exact same.
Because not long ago, in a ceremony, a scroll was placed into the cockerel that was raised atop the spire. That scroll holds the names of the thousands who've worked on Notre-Dame, even those who don't swing hammers.
That cockerel at the top, that has your name in it.
Yes, that's my name on it. I hope. I didn't see all the names, but
But it's all the names of the craftsmen and the workers.
On site, but also in different regions in France that worked for the rebuilding of the Notre-Dame.
When I walk into this as a tourist, if I come back here, will I be able to tell the difference between what was standing originally and what was restored?
It's very important that we feel that the monument has 860 years. It's not something new. It's cleaned, but it doesn't look as something new, you see?
To really see what he's talking about means getting closer and lower. It's back into the elevator.
We restored and we cleaned the inside of the cathedral, which was very dark.
Because of the fire? Because of all the soot?
No, because it was just before the fire.
Right.
But when we restored, we had the opportunity to clean also and to restore a lot of things. You will see it.
This is not a man with a lot of time, and he's not a fan of standing still for long. So bear with us as we race to keep up through the treasure of Notre-Dame.
You see, the top, it's all new. All new.
Okay.
But the big rose, it's old. So you don't see a big difference.
And the glass was okay? The stained glass was okay?
Totally okay. The fire was at the bottom.
That's extraordinary.
Ah, Ici, no damage.
That's amazing.
Nothing was damaged here. The fire was at the back. It was upstairs, the framework, the roofing. The facade was completely preserved from the fire. We didn't have to do any work on the facade.
What he's talking about is one of the minor miracles at the cathedral, that for as punishing as that fire was and looked, there were some impossibly lucky moments.
That day that you came down to look at it, the day it happened, and you were staring at the fire, did you have any idea that some of it would be okay?
The
cathedral was a spectacle of desolation. It was totally, how can I put it, gripping. It made you want to cry.
Really.
Because the spectacle was abominable in the cathedral, with the collapsed vaults, with the rubble, and the smell of the fire. In the end, the cathedral's greatest works of art escaped the fire intact. Where the vaults collapsed in the end, the cathedral's greatest treasures weren't there, they were somewhere else. They were protected by vaults that didn't collapse.
On va entrer dans la cathédrale.
And the place, he says, is the most sacred of all of Notre Dame's spaces.
It's the most beautiful part of the cathedral.
Wow.
And here everything is intact because the vaults held tight. We just had to clean them. We cleaned all the stones here. We restored the stained glass windows, which were taken down and put back up. And then we completely cleaned the grids, the pillars, the marble mosaic, which is now being restored.
Come visit for yourself. You'll be able to soon, and it's promised you won't be able to tell where the fire had burned. Even in its dusty, chaotic state, with statues protected and sheathed, the marble floors a tangle, it's already clear this will be striking.
And you'll be ready for December. You'll be ready to open in December.
It's very advanced. It's just the finishing touches inside.
It's going to be very emotional.
Yes, the reopening will be moving, that's for sure.
Genuinely not a stone untouched. The optimistic thought it might take 20 years to restore, but 5? To believe in that is to have faith. Notre-Dame will be back. The fire just a sad note, but far from the end of the story.
That's all from us tonight in Paris. We'll be back tomorrow night as the Olympic Games draw closer. For now, it's back to Erica in Vancouver.
Thank you, Adrian. Coming up, if all the coconut references popping up around Kamala Harris are leaving you confused, you might not be the only one.
Just completely taken over the internet.
We break down the viral memes and how they could help her campaign for the White House. That's next. Here's why memes are giving Kamala Harris so much campaign traction in her historic shot at the Oval Office.
You remember the way that she speaks?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
No one really talks like that.
Her handlers have long understood those potent promotional tools. But why are they blowing up at this crucial political moment? Lauren Bird did the legwork to break it all down.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Coconuts are popping up all over the internet and making a splash right now in American politics. But if you're not steeped in online culture, you might be wondering, like, wait, what do coconuts have to do with Kamala? Let's go back and look at where these memes came from and how, in the last few days, they've gone from viral jokes to a Harris campaign trademark.
She's been racking up millions and millions of views on TikTok. She's just completely taken over the internet.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
We have to go back more than a year to a speech at a White House event for Hispanic American Opportunities. Harris was talking about how young people are influenced by the communities they're raised in and brought up something her mother used to say.
She would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
That clip was turned into a meme that started surfacing a few months ago, and it's been remixed countless times since.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context.
There's something about her delivery that is like really, really memorable, and the internet loves nothing more than like memorability.
There's a lot of things about Kamala that just make her very memeable. She's funny, she's goofy, she says a lot of kind of nonsensical things.
I really do. I love Venn diagrams. It's just something about those three circles.
And this kind of thing isn't exactly new for Kamala Harris. She's been meme material for years.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
What can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know?
What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
I actually spoke to her head of influencer marketing back in 2019, who talked about her ability to generate these sound bites. And they were trying to seed a lot of these really ridiculous little phrases and moments on TikTok as far back as 2019.
And when this happened,
President Biden drops out of the 2024 race for president and endorses Vice President Kamala Harris.
That meme resurfaced in a big way, and coconuts became a symbol of support. Harris's campaign team jumped on board, nodding to the meme wherever possible.
The thing that the Kamala Harris campaign has done so cleverly is understood, memes are inherently a really effective way to deliver a message.
In the last few days, the search popularity of coconut tree has skyrocketed.
Now that it's become this organic popular thing online among young progressives, you see the mainstream establishment trying to co-opt it and leverage it.
Because here's the thing, the Biden administration has been struggling to hang on to young people's support. Young progressives have been critical of how the economy, climate change, and the Israel-Hamas war have been handled. And if Kamala Harris ends up being the nominee, this is a segment of the vote she'll need.
It's crucial. I mean, this is why Biden was in such dire straits. He had alienated a huge swath of young progressives, and these young progressives are some of the most vocal internet users.
Those younger people who might not have necessarily turned out for Joe Biden, they have maybe a slightly different relationship with her. At least they know her from seeing all these memes constantly, and so it can become a door opener.
Now, memes work best when they're built around a powerful image, one that conveys a message instantly clear to everyone. In recent weeks, this image has captured the public eye, Donald Trump's defiant exit from the rally where he was shot at. That, too, has been called a campaign advantage. Battle lines have formed over the notion of universal basic income, regular government payments meant to ensure everyone can afford essentials. A pilot project was launched in 3 Canadian cities, but Ontario pulled out and is now being sued for millions. Nick Purdon is looking at arguments on both sides. Here's a quick peek at what he's learning.
What do we want? Basic income! With the basic income, I felt a sense of security. Because I didn't have to worry about not going hungry, and I didn't have to worry about being kicked out of my apartment.
Yeah, I think timing another march long enough before the election to possibly influence the platforms of the parties, this actually really matters.
It would be great if everybody got a check for $5,000 a month and it took care of all their needs, but that's not going to happen.
Oh, I think this is the money shot.
I was constantly exhausted, having to switch from one job to another, to another, to another, and feeling like you're working forever and why is my bank account still empty?
Yeah. But then Jessie qualified for the pilot and got a basic income every month.
Yeah, I like
the pilot gave almost 4,000 people in 3 cities, on average, $1,200 a month.
It was a huge, huge relief, and it gave me the room to be able to dream. Now I'm out of just barely surviving. I'm actually thriving. I'm actually doing well.
We'll bring you the whole story in the coming days on The National. Coming up, a pair of BC Grizzlies have found their happy place.
Usually one is kind of lying there looking a little sad while the other one's in the tub.
The bears and their bathtubs, next in our moment. You're looking at Newt and Dawson, 2 adult grizzly bears at BC Wildlife Park in Kamloops, BC. The 2 siblings have shown they don't mind lounging around, and they found the perfect place to do it. That clawfoot bathtub quickly became their go-to spot. The only problem was there was only one, but that problem has now been solved by a friendly donation. And tonight, the bears' favorite way to unwind is our moment.
We have a pair of grizzly bears here that live at the BC Wildlife Park permanently. They were orphaned. They came here as only, youngsters, 4 months old, 6 months old, but now they're fully grown. And we have a clawfoot tub that we decided to put into their enclosure. We wanted to have a thing that we could put water in that maybe would withstand a grizzly bear. We came up with the idea maybe of trying a clawfoot cast iron tub, and as it turns out, those grizzly bears love the tub. We did try to put a plug in the tub, which was unsuccessful. They pulled that plug out even though it was a metal screwed down plate. They pulled that out within about 24 hours. They seem to be pretty good and pretty patient with one another with the tub. They don't fight over it at all, but usually one is kind of lying there looking a little sad while the other one's in the tub. So that was what we were thinking. It'd be nice to have a second one and they can each have their own. We put out a call for a second clawfoot tub. So we've had one donated. Since then, they just love sitting in the tub, lounging in the tub. They are probably one of the most entertaining animals that I have witnessed here at the park for sure.
1,200 pounds of grizzly bear between them, enjoying some tub time for sure. And apparently the park got so many offers of donations, people offering to donate their clawfoot bathtubs, that they are now considering offering 3 more to 3 black bears they have at the park. For all of us here at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Good night.